The three AFC matchups this weekend are all young quarterback versus old quarterback. And it is the three quarterbacks from the class of 2018, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Baker Mayfield, all in these playoff games. It's Lamar Jackson against Ryan Tannehill. It's Josh Allen against Phillip Rivers, and it's Baker Mayfield against Ben Roethlisberger. I love this kind of generational quarterback thing. Mm-hmm. Ben Roethlisberger, what he's done this year, on a scale of 1 to 10, how fearful should Browns fans be of what this guy is going to do potentially against the Browns on Sunday? Not based on history, but based on who he has been this year and how he's played. 1 is no worries. 10 is, oh my goodness, he is going to boot us out of the playoffs and give us nightmares. Mary Kay, go ahead.
I'm gonna give that a 10. I mean, it's Ben Roethlisberger, and it's very difficult for me to separate history from this game because I have seen him do so many amazing things against the Cleveland Browns. He gets up for the Browns. I think in some ways he can still get his game face on a little bit about the fact that they passed on him in 2004. He has fed off of that for years. I just think that he came back to life in the second half of that Colts game. He kind of woke up. I thought maybe he was starting to lose it a little bit, but I think what was happening more so than anything is that his guys were dropping passes. His guys were dropping passes like crazy. So if these guys hang on, if they can hang on to the ball and make amazing plays, then he becomes extremely, extremely dangerous. And he got his bye week. He got a week to rest. Now, either that will kill the momentum he had going from the second half of the Colts game, or it will give him just enough energy and life to pull this game off. I'd be afraid.
I can't go to 10. Honestly, I'm going to stay closer to the middle on this, but I'm going to go just a little bit over the middle. I'm going to go 6, just because I do think Ben figured a little something out in that Colts game. And there's something interesting from that game too, when Juju Smith-Schuster kind of let it out that maybe Ben was calling the plays in that second half. And that's the part of Ben that I think makes you nervous still. He's not the Ben Roethlisberger of, however, I don't know, pick a year. He's not the Hall of Fame version of Ben Roethlisberger right now. He's very clearly at the tail end of his career. He's not that guy anymore. But he's still got that brain, and he's got that ability if he sees something to take advantage of it. And anytime you have a veteran quarterback who can still do some of the things Ben can do, that can be dangerous. And it kind of goes back to the thing I've been saying about, I apologize to Robert Jackson, hard on him here in this pod, but that kind of goes back to that. If Ben notices something, not only does he have the ability to kind of find it, but he doesn't care. If he wants to take over and start calling plays in the huddle, he'll do it. So I think there should still be a little bit of a fear factor and a little bit of a respect factor with Big Ben, but to me, it's not quite what it used to be.
It is remarkable what the second half of that Indianapolis game did for him. I mean, there were people like wondering if he maybe should be benched because the 2 games before that against Buffalo, 187 yards, 21 of 37, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Against Cincinnati, 20 of 38, 170 yards, 1 interception, 1 pick. And then was not feeling against Indy and then found it. As you guys said, he found it. And it's like, oh, there he is. And then he sat out. So he had like 5 bad halves, 1 awesome half, and then he sat out. And that's what his last 6 halves have been. He was really good before that. So I'll be curious to see which Ben Roethlisberger shows up in this game on Sunday. Which Browns offensive player should the Steelers be most worried about this week? Is it Baker Mayfield, Nick Chubb, or Jarvis Landry? And Dan, you start this one.
I'm going to take Jarvis. I've said over and over again, I think Jarvis is really important to what this offense does. I think his ability to be kind of that eye candy before the snap changes what a defense, has to do and how they can adjust. I think his ability to even take a handoff, line up in the backfield, line up in any position, that worries me if I'm Pittsburgh. That means that's a few more hours during the week that I have to spend figuring out what this team's going to do with Jarvis Landry. So I'll pick Jarvis in this one.
I'm going to go with Baker Mayfield this time because Baker Mayfield has stopped throwing interceptions. In that first game, the Pittsburgh Steelers basically won that game largely because Minkah Fitzpatrick got it started with a 33-yard pick six against Baker Mayfield. He threw a second pick in that game, and they just had him so completely rattled. Okay. The offensive line did not play particularly well that game either, and they didn't have Nick Chubb. But when you have your offensive line playing well, which I think they will play better this time around, and when you have Nick Chubb, then you have a much better Baker Mayfield. And when Baker is on point, then he can be very dangerous, and he can utilize all of his weapons, and he's got plenty of them. And I think that as you saw in the game yesterday, Baker is so determined to advance this team and to get it to where it wants to go and to set the new standard and all the things that he wants to do. I just see just a steely resolve in his eyes. I think he's so fired up and determined for this playoff run. I think he's going to come out all guns blazing, and I think he's the one they have to worry about.
Denzel Ward's return, if we're going to assume that he's back, on a scale of 1 to 10, how big is that for the Browns? 1 being like it makes no difference, 10 being like it might be the thing that's the difference in the game between them winning and losing. How big of a deal is Denzel Ward, Dan?
I'm going 10. I mean, I watched Mason Rudolph spend yesterday picking on Robert Jackson the whole game. And I mean, that's Mason Rudolph. You think Big Ben wasn't watching that game and thinking, yeah, if Robert Jackson's out there, I'm throwing on him every single time. I feel so much better about things if Denzel Ward gets some reps against Chase Claypool or gets some chances to go against Juju, Deontay John. I just feel better having Denzel Ward out there.
What do you say, Mary Kay?
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to say either 9 or 10. I mean, I think it's absolutely huge. If you have a weak link back there, the other team is going to attack it. We saw it yesterday. We saw it. I mean, Mason Rudolph hit passes of 41, 41, and 47 yards. That's the difference between having Denzel Ward and not having Denzel Ward. And Kevin Johnson is out too. And I don't think Kevin Johnson is going to make it back. I think he's positive. We haven't had that confirmed yet. I think he's positive. I don't think he's back. So if both of those guys were out, then you're going to be down to Robert Jackson again. And that would just be almost catastrophic in this game. But I think Denzel is going to be back. And I think he's going to be a major reason why the Browns either keep it close or win the game.